Okay, so No Way Home is out, and I have seen it. It came out on the 17th, and today is, at the time I'm filming this, it is the 19th of December, and I'm going to review No Way Home after I finish reviewing the rest of the Spider-Man movies. I was going to do that beforehand, but I was really busy and I couldn't do that. But I'm planning to do it now. And I won't spoil No Way Home and throughout these videos. I will talk about these movies, and I will rank them at the end when I talk about the Tom Holland trilogy. So first, in this video, of course, I'll be talking about the Sam Raimi trilogy, the Tobey Maguire trilogy, and I own these all on DVD. And so I'll be talking about Spider-Man. I grew up on this trilogy and these movies, and they're all great, and Tobey Maguire is the best Spider-Man. I go back and forth on Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, but there's just something special about Tobey Maguire that you can't take away. He is Spider-Man and forever will be Spider-Man. And the first movie and the trilogy as a whole, they are cheesy, but that's also one thing that makes them great. And this first movie, where Willem Dafoe plays Green Goblin, he is great as the villain. And I'm going to skip around a lot in this video as well. Where Tobey Maguire and Green Goblin fight at the end, their fight scene is one of the most brutal superhero and villain fight scenes ever in a movie. And it's one of the best. And Spider-Man, the hero, gets his butt kicked in this scene, and it's really great to see, because you see a hero get knocked down at his lowest. And when Green Goblin impales himself with his own glider, you really feel the tragedy of that scene, because you know that his son, Harry Osborn, who plays New Goblin in the third Spider-Man movie, you see the beginning of that arc where he's gonna hate Spider-Man for killing his father. He just doesn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And I really like that about this movie. The best part about this movie is the villain and Spider-Man. And the origin of Spider-Man in this movie, where he loses his uncle, of course, and then he has to track down the killer. And the killer dies because of Spider-Man. Spider-Man didn't kill him, but he wouldn't have died if Spider-Man hadn't tracked him down. So I like that about this movie as well, is Spider-Man has to decide how to use his responsibility. And if this movie wasn't good, there wouldn't have been any Spider-Man movies. And this movie owes a lot to superhero movies in general. And yeah, that's pretty much all I'll say about this movie. And when I finish these videos, I'm gonna talk. There's always gonna be things that I thought about that I should have said, and I also have to get through these videos quickly, because now that I've seen No Way Home, I'm gonna see No Way Home again before I review it. But I'm trying to get through these videos quickly, because since No Way Home came out 2 days ago, I want to get it before, it may be like irrelevant to talk about. And I know that's been what I've been doing with my videos, that I've been talking about them way too late. And that's fine, I guess, but to me, I want to be very quick on these things, but I don't know. It's easier said than done. Alright, so now I'll be talking about Spider-Man 2, which arguably is the best of the trilogy. I would say Spider-Man 1 is the best, but this movie is basically the love story between MJ and Spider-Man. And that's carries over from the first movie, where at the end, Spider-Man at Green Goblin's funeral, Peter Parker and MJ, he tells her that he can't be with her because basically because he's Spider-Man and has to deal with that responsibility, and can't bring her in because it would be too dangerous. He doesn't say that, but that's why he does it. And she gets with him at the end, of course, but that's basically what this movie is about. And the villain, Doc Ock, played by Alfred Molina, is so great in this movie. The train scene is one of the most iconic action scenes in any superhero movie. And it shows how grave the responsibility of being Spider-Man is. Because Spider-Man loses his powers in this movie, and that is very big in this movie, and it's something that I can relate to a lot. It's like losing your passion for something and wondering if you still have it anymore. And when Spider-Man gets it back, it's really an epic thing to watch. And there's so many great things about this movie, and I can't talk about all of them, but man, it's such a surreal thing to watch this movie. And I grew up on these movies, so watching them again is a special thing to see. Where at the end of this movie, where Doc Ock, Spider-Man sees the redemption of Doc Ock, and Doc Ock is it's another tragedy where he has to destroy his own machine, and he drowns at the bottom of the river. And it's a great ending, and the villain dies a hero, and that's because of Spider-Man. And I always appreciated that about this movie. And Tobey Maguire is one of the most heartwarming characters that has played Spider-Man. And yeah, so that brings me to the end of talking about Spider-Man 2. Now, Spider-Man 3. This movie is the most enjoyable of this trilogy to me. I know there's a lot of problems in this movie, and I'll get to that. But it's where Spider-Man basically goes bad, is how I like to view this movie. Because he does, and you see the dichotomy of him being good, and when he gets Venom, the black suit, he becomes gothic Toby, basically emo Toby. And I like that about this movie because it's where the more hilarious moments of this movie, where he walks out of the store and has his little dance. I thought that was really cool. I always laugh when that scene pops up, and it's the best part of this movie. I don't care what anybody says. I thought that was great, even though it makes no sense for the sake of the movie. But this is the movie where Sony got their hands too much in it and wanted too many villains, and that's kind of a problem for this movie. But I do like the fact that there are these villains in the movie. They're just... Venom's not in there enough. And I thought Topher Grace, who plays Venom in this movie, he does a fine job. I like Topher Grace because I used to watch that 70s show and sing. I like to see him in... any chance I can see him in another movie, it's kind of cool to see him. So, but he played a fine Venom in this movie. Tobey Maguire is great in this movie. And MJ and Tobey, that scene where they break up again, basically, and where they're in the club, in the jazz club, where Tobey brings Gwen Stacy to the club, and where he basically has a dance number, which was stupid, but after that, when things get serious and he knows how bad he's turning into, he understands the monster he's turning into, and when he strikes back and hits MJ, it's in that scene, I like that scene because it shows how a hero can abuse his power. Because he starts to feel like... And it's the suit that's doing it to him, but I like how this movie portrays that aspect of a hero turning bad. And there's a similarity that I can point to in No Way Home. And I'm not going to talk about No Way Home much in these reviews, but that's just a similarity that I can connect to No Way Home, because No Way Home is the darkest Spider-Man movie, and I'll say that here, and I'll say it again, but I just want to say that that's a really cool similarity that I found. Sandman in this movie, played by Thomas Hayden Church, is a great character in this movie, and when Black Suit Spider-Man fights him, it's where Black Suit is becoming really arrogant, and their fight scene underground is really good. It's one of the best scenes in the movie. In the end, and I know I'm skipping around a lot, but at the end where Venom is beating the crap out of Spider-Man on this railing, that was such a dark scene where Venom's just pounding on him and eventually gets saved by another villain in the movie who has a redemption, Harry Osborn, played by James Franco, which he does a great job playing Harry Osborn in the movie. Peter's best friend turned enemy in this movie. And in Spider-Man 2, when it's revealed that he knows who Peter Parker is, that's a great scene. And it comes full circle in this movie where they have their fight at Harry's place. And that's the best scene in this movie to me, because you see how dark Toby has become wearing his black suit. And when he throws one of Goblin's bombs at Harry's face and deforms it and has it all scarred up, that's a great scene in this movie. And when Harry gets redeemed by the end of this movie and basically sacrifices himself for Spider-Man, I thought that was really cool. And it makes for a great ending of this movie. And I wish we would have gotten a Spider-Man 4. But this movie was the beginning of the end for the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. And hate to say it, but these movies are still great and will forever be great in my book. And I know there's a lot of things that I wish I would have talked about in this review. But yeah, it's going to be hard to rate these movies because they are so great. But I will say that these movies definitely have their place in time, their place in history. And they're some of the greatest superhero movies ever made. Even Spider-Man 3, with all its silliness, with all its craziness, it has some great moments. And it really is a well-crafted movie with problems because of how arrogant the studio got and how much influence they had in it. And so, yeah, that's basically the stuff that I wanted, some of the main points that I wanted to talk about. I didn't talk about Mary Jane as much as I wanted to, but that's fine, I guess. Alright, that's basically all I had to talk about in Tobey Maguire's trilogy. I'm Matt Made, and this is my review of the Spider-Man trilogy. And subscribe, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time.